The defense in NFL 2K Playmakers can be tricky, especially if you don't know which of the 3 plays to pick. But we have the complete defensive guide completely finished, and that is what we're going to talk about in today's video. I'm going to show you all of the patterns and tricks that I've found when playing defense, so that way when you're on defense, you're going to be able to pick the correct play 100% of the time, because there is a pattern to these plays. There is a way to tell whether or not the play is a run or a pass. A couple things that we need to mention before we get started and go through all these plays and me showing you exactly how to tell which play to pick. First thing is, of course, this only applies to the plays that are in the game currently. This is all plays in the game. There are 88 total plays in the game, from silver up to sapphire. And so once we get new tiers, these same methods might work, not really too sure, but these actually work 100% of the time for the plays that are in the game right now. And once we get a new tier, then we'll do the same exact thing as well. So if this video helps you out, please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We stream over on Twitch quite often. I have a Twitter. Both of those links are in the description, and you're welcome to go check them out. So, okay, how did we actually do this? Well, I pretty much just analyzed all 88 plays in the game. And for example, when you're playing on defense in this game, the computer already selected a play. If the computer selects this emerald curl play, the defensive formations that you're going to see for your selection is going to be this pass formation, this run formation, and then one of these blitz formations. And it's going to be like that 100% of the time. So every single time they call this curl play, these are going to be the formations, the defensive formations that pop up. Another thing that we're going to look at is going to be this play style down here. Now, if you don't know what these play styles are, we did already make a video on that. There are 8 different total play styles. So before we even determine which run or pass to call, we have to identify what play style the play actually is. Another thing that's very important when I tell you how to identify these plays are going to be not only the number of players in each of the formations, but specifically only the ones in the pass, which is the very first formation. And when I talk about how to identify the players, we're always going to start on the left side at the bottom, and we're going to go in a counterclockwise motion. So this is going to be the first guy, this is going to be the second guy, and this is going to be the third guy. If there are only 2 players in the formation, then the bottom guy is going to be the first guy, and then the top guy is going to be the second guy. And then there will be some times where there's only 1 player in the formation, and well, he's the only player, so he's just the first guy. That is very important. So while we're going through these 8 different play styles, you might want to stop, pause, rewind, jot down a couple notes, because each one of these 8 different play styles is going to have its own separate, unique type of rule. In order to identify the play, each play style is going to have its own rule, and you might want to, look at some notes or something like that until you at least get the hang of it. It's not very complicated by any means. It is not complicated at all. There's just a couple rules, or a rule with each one of these different play styles to be able to identify whether or not it's a run or a pass. So let's jump in and go through each of these play styles right now, and we'll start with the easiest ones. We'll go from the easiest all the way to the most difficult or most complicated rules, or the most balanced type of playbook. The first one is going to be power. And I am looking at the first thing you do when you look at the defense is look at the icon down here at the bottom. And like I said, if you don't know what the play styles are, check in the description. I do have a video that talks about all 8 of these different play styles. So when it comes to toughness in this game, or power in this game, the power icon, the flexing, there are 13 total runs and there are 0 passes. So anytime you see this icon, you know that they are calling a power play, which means they're only runs. So every time you see this, you're going to pick run. So now moving on over to sniper. Now sniper has 1 run, 9 passes. This is again a very simple formation to be able to tell whether or not it's a run or a pass. And with 1 run and 9 passes, the majority of the time it is going to be a pass. And when you're identifying such, remember, you only look at the pass formation in your defense. That's the only thing we're ever going to be looking at. And remember, you can have 3 defensive players, you can have 2 defensive players, you can have 1 defensive player in these formations, right? And so sniper is only going to have either 3 defensive players or 2 defensive players. So 9 out of 10 times, it's always going to be a pass, but there is that one exception. And that one exception is when in this pass formation, there are only 2 players and both of those players are defensive linemen. So when you're looking at the sniper play, if it has 3 defensive players, automatically pick pass. If it has 2 defensive players, then just check if both of the players are defensive linemen. If they are, then pick a run. If they're not, then stick with the pass. The hands play style. This has 1 run, 10 passes, and this follows the exact same rule as sniper. So 10 out of 11 times it's going to be a pass. The one exception in which it's a run is when in this pass formation right here, you're only going to have 2 players there, but both of those players have to be defensive linemen. If you have one where it has 2 players and there's a defensive lineman and a linebacker, it's still a pass. If it's a linebacker and linebacker, it's still a pass. The only time it's a run is when it is 2 defensive linemen in this pass formation, then you pick run. Moving on to the heart play style. Here we have 9 runs, 1 pass. So 9 out of 10 times you're going to be picking run. But again, there is an exception, is a rule. Now, I'll emphasize again and multiple times, all you're looking at is the pass formation. This is the only one we're going to be checking, the only one in which we're going to be checking the positions, counting the players, etc. So if there are 3 players here, it's still going to be a run. If there are 2 players here, it's still going to be a run most of the time. The only exception in which it's a pass is when there are 2 defensive players, like you see right here, but the very first player or the bottom player of those 2 players is a linebacker. So if the bottom player is a linebacker, when there's only 2 players, then you pick pass, but every other time you pick run. And now we got the captain play style, and here we got 3 runs and 7 passes. So getting a little bit more balanced. The ones that we just did before and all of the ones pretty much, it's just a simple rule to kind of catch all of the exceptions. So with 3 runs, 7 passes, just think automatically when you think captain or see captain, you think pass. Almost all of captain's plays are passes, except for a few exceptions. And one of those exceptions, the first exception, is going to be when there's 1 single player. So if there's only 1 player in your formation and that is it, then it is a run. Always a run if it is 1 single player. And then the other exception is going to be when there are 2 players like this, but both of those players have to be defensive backs. So right here, we have a defensive lineman, we have a linebacker. We're still going to pick pass. If there are 3 players, it's still going to be pass. The only time it's a run is when it is 1 single player or 2 players with both of them being defensive backs, then you pick run. And then we got the playmaker. Playmaker has 2 runs, 9 passes, and very similar to captain, in which most of the time they're going to be passes. but there are a couple runs and there are a couple run plays. And the first exception to the rule, just like with captain, is going to be if there's one single player in your formation. So if there's one player in the formation, then you know automatically it is going to be a run. And the other exception is again going to be when there's two players, but this time with playmaker, the position we're going to be looking for is going to be linebacker. So if you have two cards here, and it doesn't matter if it is the top card or the bottom card, either card, if one of those cards has a linebacker in it, then it is going to be a run. If there are two cards and there is no linebacker, then it's still going to be pass. And now we got the lightning play style. And with this one, we got 3 runs, 8 passes. So the majority are going to be passes. And the rule is if there are 3 players, it's always going to be a pass. If there are 2 players, then it's always going to be a run unless, and this is the exception, unless the 2 players are 2 linebackers. So this is what it would look like right here. And so if it is 3 players, it is a pass. If it is 2 players, it is a run unless it has 2 linebackers, then it is a pass. And now the final play style, which is star, is probably going to be the most difficult to remember because it's going to require you to have some, I guess, knowledge of your team. And what I mean by that is with star playstyle, there are 5 runs, there are 7 passes. And the rule, much similar to the last couple, when there are 3 players, it is going to be a pass. When there are 2 players, it is going to be a run. Unless, and this is where the knowledge of your team is going to come in. Unless the very first player, which is the player on the bottom of the 2 players when there's only 2 players there, unless the bottom player is defensive lineman 2 or linebacker 2, in which case it is then a pass. So like I said, that's the only of the play styles that's going to require you to actually have some deck knowledge of your own particular deck, so you know exactly which player is in defensive spot 2 or defensive line 2 and which is in linebacker 2. Because with this one, like I said, if it's 3 players, it's always a pass. If it's 2 players, it's always a run, unless that bottom player, when you're looking at the pass formation only, if the bottom player is the second defensive lineman or the second linebacker, then it is a pass. So when you're playing in your game and you have a couple notes jotted down, what you're gonna do, first thing, you look at the play style. It's hands, go on down to hands. Always pass unless 2 with 2 defensive linemen. Well, there's not 2 defensive linemen, so you know it's always pass. So we're going to go with a pass blitz. And once you get used to this, like once you get used to the rules with each of these play styles, it's going to make things a lot easier. Got them down all the way to 10%. But like I said, it doesn't guarantee you to win because, yeah, the computer, like right there, very first play of this game at 10%, they're going to get it. But at least we got the play call right. They did another hands again. And if you didn't remember what we just did, you have your notes jotted down. You look at hands, always pass unless 2 with 2 defensive linemen. Well, this has 3, so you know that it's always going to be a pass. We're going to pick pass again. And hopefully they don't pull any more shenanigans and get those 10%ers. It does happen, like I said, quite frequently in this game, much higher than 10%, much higher than 10%. That one was an actual incomplete pass. I don't suspect, I mean, there's been a couple times where they've gotten 2 10%ers in a row. This guy has only hands in his playbook. But again, hands, always pass unless 2 with 2 defensive linemen. These are 2 linebackers, so it is still going to be pass. We're going to click pass. Anytime, you know, the blitz, I don't want to say it's a general rule, but most of the time, they're actually not going to give you the blitz in the correct play call. So if it is a pass, they typically give you a run blitz. If it's a run, they typically give you a pass blitz. Hey, look at that. They got another low percentage one. I think this game is just showing how screwed up that these percentages are. Oh, finally, we got a sniper. So look at sniper again, go down to your thing. Always pass unless 2 with 2 defensive linemen. Always pass. Again, they have run blitz right here. So typical, you know, they're not going to give you the blitz in the correct play. So that's almost the first giveaway to me. It doesn't happen all the time. I mean, sometimes they do give you the blitz in the correct one, but most of the time they don't. 29% this time. Looks like they have better players for this particular one. And hey, look at that. We got it down. 29% is almost like 80% really. 4th and goal. We got another sniper. And the sniper says, always pass unless 2 with 2 defensive linemen. So always pass unless it's 2 with 2 defensive linemen. And what do we have right here? Well, we have 2 defensive linemen. So you know it's run, which means they have the run blitz on here. So let's go run blitz. Hopefully we're able to stop them this time. They can get 5 yards. They can't even get a touchdown anyway. So we know we're going to win the game. We dropped it down to 16%. Quick notes on each of these. It makes it really easy. And then after a while, after a couple times, maybe 3, 4, 5 times, you get the hang of exactly what you're looking for, and you'll be able to call the correct play 100% of the time, making defense by far the easiest mode in this game. Now remember, these rules apply to all plays, regardless of your tier that is currently in the game now. So if you're just starting out and you're in gold tier, these rules will work. If you are in sapphire tier at the very end, these rules will work. I can't promise they'll work when the next tier drops. We'll just have to reanalyze the rules and see if we have to make any adjustments or exceptions. But as of right now, and as of the date of this video, and with the plays, the 88 plays that are in here, this works 100% of the time. We got a lot of tips and guide videos coming again really soon. I got another video that I'm in the works of doing right now, like which play styles fit for each of the defensive positions. We're doing the same thing on offense as well. Which play styles work best with the offensive positions? That's going to be a little bit harder because that's going to be contingent on the plays you actually have. But either way, there's lots of videos coming, and depending on when you watch this, go in the description, find the NFL 2K Playmakers playlist, and you can check all the old guides and all of that stuff. But hopefully you did enjoy. Be sure y'all hit that thumbs up and let me know if this helped you and all that stuff. Don't forget to go to Twitch, check out a stream. We stream on YouTube too, so you can watch either one of them, obviously, and also the Twitter page. But either way, guys, hopefully y'all are having a fantastic weekend. I will see y'all next time. Y'all take it easy. We're out. Peace.